and an older what's the name, Cotto. But
Rare breed.
Mayweather's
Mayweather
not
was
like,
the best pound fighter in the world. What you talk? Rare breed was
yes,
the best pound fighter in the world at the
yes,
time.
but he thought it was an older Mayweather, so he felt like it'd be an easier fight.
But
But
how
this,
can cherry pick that fight when Mayweather's the one that calls the shots?
I know.
Mayweather, no,
no, but
Mayweather picked
Even
Canelo.
no one
he
could
also
even
fought
cherry
in
pick
Triple G at
Mayweather.
36. Go ahead.
Mayweather calls the shots, not Canelo. Mayweather was the
Listen,
A side.
Floyd cherry picked Canelo. Floyd was fighting all those Mexicans because it's easy work. It's always been easy work for him. But notice that when he picked Canelo, he never said anything about Andrade when he was active because Floyd understands the schematics that Andrade's skill and his length will be a big problem for Floyd. Also, Floyd
That's
didn't call
true.
out Amir Khan. Amir Khan, believe it or not, yes, he's a glass jaw, but his length and hand speed would have been trouble for Floyd late in his career.
Maybe.
Floyd's
But
main thing was
also,
timing. He picked the fights at the right time. There's no way that
but
Canelo picked Floyd. That's impossible because Floyd could have turned that fight down easily, and no one would have said anything.
But he picked Canelo because it's easy work. He's flat-footed.
Yeah,
He can easily just exploit that. His slow
that's what I'm saying.
footwork.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Floyd picked Canelo 100%, but he's saying that Canelo cherry picked Floyd. That don't make sense. My point is,
I think she did.
No,
I
no,
think
no, 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 no,
he
no.
tried to catch.
Look,
I think he
Canelo
tried to.
didn't pick Floyd. Floyd picked Canelo.
No,
Whoa.
Canelo miscalculated because he thought that he was going to be able to, he was going to walk over Floyd like he did to Mosley. So he did miscalculate.
Yeah, but Christian, somebody offers you the Floyd Mayweather fight. How many fighters do you think would turn that down with that type of money? You always knew if
Of
you lost, you
course.
can come back again.
Of course. Yeah, you're right. It's the business side of it.
You know?
Mike, I want to bring you in, man. You've been hearing everything. Mike, you there?
Yeah.
Mike, you hear Christian's points that Floyd or the guy saying that Canelo cherry picked Floyd. Floyd didn't fight Andrade. He didn't fight Amir Khan. He decided to fight Canelo because for me, Floyd picked that fight. There's no way you can say Canelo cherry picked that fight because Canelo was not the A side. What was your thoughts on what was being said there?
Well, I mean, Canelo, I think at that time, which is what you would expect from any fighter, right? He's going to think or believe that he can beat Floyd.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it as a yeah. I guess you could say it's a miscalculation, but that's what a fighter's supposed to think, right? Like, hey, I think I could beat this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that Canelo cherry picked Floyd, I mean, come on, dude, that's beyond ridiculous, bro. Like, especially, when you consider the fact that it was a catch weight and the fact that Floyd is the A side. Floyd chooses who he wants to fight. Even if Canelo wanted to fight Floyd, it's not his decision. It's Floyd's decision. Floyd fights who he wants to fight, point blank, period. So that doesn't make any sense at all. But going back to the whole Andrade thing, man, is, I mean, we discussed that, like, I don't know how many times, me personally, just because we've talked about this like 100 times, it's gotten to the point where, yeah, like, I wish Canelo just fought Andrade just because it's just kind of like to prove it to people. But I just don't think that we assume that Canelo thinks like us. Fans think that Canelo thinks like us, or that he thinks like Christian, right? Or that he thinks like Imran or Ray or whatever, right? I don't think Canelo sees Andrade as that type of a threat. I think Canelo's biggest problem, and I think it's obvious that he stated this many, many times, is that he knows that Andrade is specifically stalking Canelo without trying to prove something in his own career. Like, it's hard to just say, I'm going to give this guy a chance when you're almost 34 years old. Like, look, man, we talked about this many times. I don't want to hear the excuse about him getting ducked because Rigondeaux got to fight Donaire. Rigondeaux got to fight Casemiro. Rigondeaux got to fight Lomachenko. Lara got to fight Canelo Alvarez. Lara got to fight a lot of big names as well. How many
And
years
Austin
does
Trout,
Andre
and Austin
need?
Trout.
Right,
But the
Austin Trout. I
problem
mean, we
with
could
that
keep going.
narrative-
Vaughn is Marderosian. How
Yeah.
many times, how many years does Andre need to get one? I'm not talking about Hall of Famer. I'm not even going that far. Just get a decent fucking name in your resume, man.
Exactly.
One decent name. Just one decent
Now
name.
put them in the
And in
back.
my
But
opinion,
the entire narrative.
hold on.
Who did Rocky Slave House fight? Liam
Who did
Smith
what?
fight? Avni Yildirim. All these bums who fought nobody got to fight with Canelo. And these guys these guys aren't better than Andre. They're not.
But that's his choice, bro. That is his choice.
So that's why that logic doesn't work. I
no,
mean,
no, it's not. It's not about logic. It's not about
Julio.
logic. It's because you're assuming that he's ducking him because of his style. Rocky Fielding was a 168 fight. He had never been in that weight class, so he went out there to test himself at 168. It wasn't about Rocky Fielding.
Fighter, there to be hit, perfect fit for Canelo.
Fine, okay, whatever, fine. If that's what you feel,
actually-
that's great. But
Mike-
the point
It's an
is that
ongoing pattern. It's an ongoing pattern.
no,
throughout
it's
his entire
that
resume.
that pattern
Actually,
doesn't make any sense when he's already fought Lara. He's fought better fighters.
That was almost 8 years ago.
Exactly. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
If I may,
Let me
put in
pose
my
this
2 cents
question
real quick. Hold on, real quick, Mike. I'm just gonna jump into this chat because, by the way, chaps, pleasure meeting you guys. I'm kind of thankful I got to join you guys once again. Just to kind of throw my 2 cents in, Mike. You make good sense. Christian, you have a lot of valid points, and so does Ray. The one major thing you guys are forgetting on everything else, though, Andrade is under who? He's with Matchroom Boxing now. He's had plenty of chances also to have good fights with Triple G. He's had the opportunity. They could have made it happen with him and Canelo. They could have made it happen with a bunch of different people. As a matter of fact, before he went to Matchroom Boxing, if I remember, he was with All Star Promotions. He could have fought the Charlos because All Star Promotions works with PBC. So, but Charlo is a great fighter, man. I've seen him in the Olympic trials back in the day. I seen him fight. Look, I'm from Chicago, dude. I remember back in 2008, I went out to a casino called the Horseshoe in Indiana, and I got to see. I think it was not his pro debut. I think it was his third actual professional bout. The kid can bang, man. The only thing is, though, I just feel he's like that evil stepchild that nobody really cares for, and they're overseeing that he's a talented fighter. He can definitely throw down with the best of them. But for people to say that Canelo hasn't fought nobody, I'm like, I don't know if people are blind, but I've been following Canelo's career since he was still in Mexico, bro. And when he came over here, some fights were iffy, but the man learned from this Floyd Mayweather defeat, and I hate to say it, man, but he's destroyed every opponent outside of Triple G. The second time around, he redecorated his face, so I ain't gonna argue with that one. But Canelo is a hell of a fucking fighter, man. So is Andrade. Again, they are under the same banner, which Matchroom Boxing. I just honestly feel politics sometimes gets in the way. And this isn't about throwing one person under the bus or throwing the other one. Excuses are excuses. They could make these fights happen. I just feel sometimes politics, and this go a long way. True or not?
But the reason why the fight's not getting done with Andre is because Canelo doesn't want the fight. If he wanted to fight, the fight would happen because Andre wants to fight. That's plain and obvious.
A lot of people wanted to fight Andre. Look, okay, here you go. How come PBC never made the offer to get the Charlos, who talk a lot more trash? And they're good fighters, man. Maul and Mel, great fighters. Why haven't they made anything to try to make it happen with Andrade? They were once upon a time he was 154 and he was 160.
Carlo doesn't want to smoke. Jamal Charlo admitted what there was a $7 million contract offer that was conveyed this year.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Said that's not enough.
No, that's not true,
Christian. That's not enough.
Christian, Mike made a point. Mike made a point, right? Can we see Andrade in there with one world-class fighter? We're not talking about a guy that's a Julian Jackson that puts people's lights out. You know, that is a dangerous knockout artist. He's a boxer. You know, surely one world-class fighter he could get in the ring with. Just one. Like everyone, most fighters have been in the ring. Doesn't matter how dangerous they are. You look at all the great fighters, whether they're George Foreman, Julian Jackson, all the biggest bombers and biggest punchers, right? Everyone's got a downfall. Everyone's got somebody, a world-class fighter that they fought in their career. Andrade's career right now, he's fought, Mike is right. He hasn't even, we're not talking about Hall of Famers. We're not talking about all-time greats. We're talking about a world-class fighter.
Liam Williams and Luke Keeler are the two people I can think off the top of my head who Andre's fought.
But
Are they
guys,
world-class though, Ray?
No, here's another thing that people forget.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Canelo Alvarez.
That's what I'm saying.
Canelo Alvarez was actually trying to negotiate to fight Demetrius Andrade at one point. I don't know why people aren't bringing this up. Yes, it's a fact. Unless you're going to say, unless
I remember Golden Boy Promotions, they tried to put a contract
yes,
together to fight.
this was during the time when Canelo got stripped by the his IBF title.
And I know the sequence.
He got stripped for his IBI fight. So what they wanted,
when he got stripped, he asked for a late petition that he finally wants to make the unification fight with Andrade. The IBF said no because you didn't petition timely. So it begs the question, why didn't he petition when he had a 60-day window to do it? Because he wasn't interested in the fight.
So then why were they ask for it then?
He was also going through a lot.
Because he didn't want to get stripped at the last minute.
Remember that?
No, he was already stripped. He was already stripped.
No, I got the sequence down.
At the time he was going through his
timeline on this.
No, this is back.
He petitioned around August 1st of 2019 for an exception to get out of the fight with Cinco so he can do a
because he was stripped
with Andrade. The IBS said you
because he was stripped.
The IBS
that's right, because he was stripped.
Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? The petition was legally too late under the IBF rules.
No, it wasn't allowed.
No, it was untimely. Because the IBF rules say that before the purse bid, if you want to unify to avoid a mandatory, you have to petition first before the purse bid goes out. Canelo did nothing for 60 days. So when the purse bid went out, it was already too late.
What do you mean? What the hell?
But guys,
read the IBF rules. I read the rules.
Yeah, but guys, I think you're also forgetting that when Andrade, he was supposed to fight Charlo at one point, but something happened. I forgot what it was, but he pulled out at the last second, and Shields and Charlo basically after that whole thing said that they'll never fight Andrade no matter what. They don't want to give him the payday, and then so he's stuck in a hard place right now.
And another thing
the
is,
situation with Jermell has nothing to do with Jamal. And so the excuses that Jamal's making.
No, it was Jamal.
Actually quite
ridiculous. Big Charlo. It was Big Charlo, the one with Shield.
No, yeah, but what they're talking about is what happened with Jermell in 2013.
Oh, okay.
So they're using that. Well, what happened in 2013? That's the excuse that Jamal is now using not to fight Andrade. It's a ridiculous excuse.
You're the one that makes all the excuses, man.
I think Andrade will give
Charlo to back up everything I'm saying.
Nah.
I mean, do you want me to pull up?
You're making no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your assumptions of what you believe Canelo thinks, and your lack of criticism of Andrade. You have excuses for days, bro, for Andrade. For days because he's being ducked. He's being ducked.
Because he is.
How many?
It's a fact.
No.
It's
not a fact. It's
okay,
your
bro.
opinion.
Explain to
it's
me
your opinion.
Why didn't Canelo make the
it's
fight?
your
When
opinion.
He said, Yo quiero los cuatro títulos.
It's your.
When he said that, so why did he?
Because he was stripped. He was stripped.
No, bro, he was stripped 3 months after the fact. Get your facts straight.
What do you mean? What do you mean after the fact?
He won the IB. He won the third belt in May of 2000. No, in April 5th, 2019. He got stripped by the IBF in August. So what did he do for the next 60 days after he won the belt? He didn't petition the IBF to make the unification with Andrade. Why? Because he didn't want to make the fight.
No, because that's the assumption that I'm talking about.
It's not
You're
an
making
assumption,
that
it's a
assumption.
fact. I'm drawing an
No,
inference
it's
from
not
the
a fact.
facts.
No, you don't know the difference between fact and opinion, bro.
Bro, I
You don't know the
practice
difference
law.
between fact and
I
opinion.
practice law. I know how to draw an inference from a fact. Do you?
No,
Yeah,
you don't,
obviously
bro.
not.
You don't. You
Oh,
don't.
please. Oh, please. Okay, so explain to me, why didn't he make the fight? Explain to me what he did for
What do you
60
mean? Why?
days. Why? He said he
You
wanted
want
to
me-
be undisputed. So why didn't he follow? So why didn't he make the fight?
He
After
fought
said,
Kovalev.
I want the yeah.
He
Why
fought Kovalev.
Kovalev? The dude is washed up. He's not a champion in the division at
No.
160.
So you think Andrade is better on his resume than Kovalev?
No, I didn't say that. Now, did I? We're talking about two different
Oh,
things.
well then there it is. Well then there it is.
No. I'm talking about why I'm
There it
making
is.
the case that Canelo ducked Andrade for undisputed.
Yes, you're making that
fact is,
assumption. That's your opinion.
It's not an
That's your
assumption,
opinion.
guy. Why don't you pull
Yes, it
up the
is.
press conference on YouTube after he
Bro,
beat
look,
Jacobs?
look,
You speak
look. The
Spanish,
first thing
right?
you need.
I
Look,
do. He said, "Yo quiero los
hey,
cuadros."
you're way, hey, bro, you're way too emotional, bro. You're way too emotional, bro. Like you got a massive crush on Andrade.
Is there a way we can
massive crush?
Oh, please, bro. Is there a way we can pull up the press conference on the live stream?
Guys. The thing is, okay, Christian, I agree with what you're saying. Okay, what you're saying in terms of, Canelo. Just say we agree with what you're saying, Canelo in Andrade, right? But forget Canelo a second. Andrade's had look. I said this before, and I'll say it again, right? I'll say this again to you, right? I've started watching boxing around 2006, 8. Ray knows that I got into boxing because of Amir Khan winning the silver medal. I started watching boxing around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Amir Khan won a world title in about 2007, 2008. Then in 2013, 14, Khan was at the peak of his powers. He was at the peak. Andrade at that time was a world champion. Amir Khan now, 7 years on, is finished. He's washed up. He's beaten a lot of good fighters. He's lost to certain good fighters. He's been in the ring, right? These guys were at the time around the same time. Khan was a little earlier. Khan has fought 15 former world champions and beat 11. In the same time frame, Andrade hasn't fought one world-class fighter. Come on, bro. Like, come on. How can you?
That's not true. When he fought Vadas Martirosyan, that guy was the boogeyman at 154 back in 2013. He was undefeated. He was undefeated at that time. He even fought Lara to a draw. Many said that he actually beat Lara. The first person to give him an L was Andrade. Then after he fought Andrade, he fought Jermell Charlo, who many people believe that he beat in that fight. So at that time, Martirosyan was a good fighter.
Okay. Okay, we take that one fight.
Who did he fight after that, Christian?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Ryan Rose.
He hasn't. Listen, I've already conceded the fact that his resume isn't stellar. Okay, but a lot of that is through no fault of his own, because Jermell Charlo doesn't want to fight with him. Golovkin doesn't want no smoke with him. None of the guys who hold the belt want smoke with him, including Canelo. So he's stuck fighting mandatories. Jaime Munguia, the WBO mandatory, doesn't even want to fight him for the belt.
Yep, that's true.
These are facts.
I mean, you guys are okay with him fighting Yodrum, who doesn't have a great resume either. But God forbid he fights.
I'm not okay with him fighting.
He never said that
out there. I'm not okay with Canelo
Well,
fighting.
he keeps saying that. Who has Andrade fought? Who has Yodrum fought?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not. Listen, Ray.
Slating Eddie Hearn for putting on some of these DAZN shows and Matchroom shows. We lost him from Sky in the UK on the promise he's going to put on big shows, and he's failing to do that. So don't sit here and say we're okay with Canelo and Yildirim. That's an absolute disaster. Who said we're okay with that?
But Ray, that's what Rare Breed is trying to say, is that we're okay with Canelo fighting Yildirim, but we're not okay with Canelo fighting Andrade. When have we ever said that? When have we ever said that we're not okay with Canelo fighting?
That, Canelo's at least fought Golovkin twice.
We've never said that. We've never said that.
He keeps saying that he needs Andrade to fight. No, but he kept saying that he needs Andrade to fight some world class opponent before he gets a chance with
No, no,
Canelo.
no. I said I want Andrade to fight, whether that's Canelo, whether that's anybody. I don't care.
He
I
just
don't. It doesn't have to be against Canelo. It can
he,
be against Billy Joe. It can be against even Chris Eubank for all I care.
yeah.
Like he's not fighting anybody, man. He's not like. Here's
But
the
it's not.
thing.
But
No.
Imran, but it's
Andrade
not
is
his
high
fault.
risk, low reward.
Hey,
It's not his fault. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He
Low-
wants to fight Golovkin. Golovkin doesn't want
but
the
who
fight.
who are we meant to blame then, Christian? When his career's all done and said, are we gonna say that it wasn't his fault and he got in the ring with nobody?
Who's to blame? That part of I think a lot of the blame is the politics, the sanctioning bodies, the promoters.
she blaming Eddie Hearn.
That's his
What's that?
promoter.
And the promoters as well. And the
He's blaming Eddie
politics.
Hearn.
Because remember, Eddie Hearn this year conveyed a reasonable offer to PBC to make the fight between Andrade and Charlo. Charlo himself said that's not enough. They made all kinds of excuses. You got to get vaccinated. Well, he said the same thing about Benavidez. You know, then he said Andre's got to fight Montiel. It's ridiculous.
Charlo's smart to avoid Benavidez. That style's all wrong for him. So I'm not even mad at it.
I don't think Benavidez is. Do you think Benavidez's style is all wrong for Charlo? I'm not sure. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
so. Yeah, you saw because Montiel, he's kind of long and lanky too, kind of like Benavidez. But Benavidez is even times two. So I think it's too much of a size difference.
Does
I agree. It's
Charlo.
it's a very hard fight for Charlo. It is.
Yeah, because he's at 160 fighting. Fighting Benavidez. He's really fighting a 175 pounder. He's not fighting a 168 pounder. So
Does Charlo beat Andrade, rare breed?
I think Andre will give him a lot of trouble.